And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another sponsored review, really a sponsored interview. I have with me the founder and CEO of UseChain. I'm really interested in this one, guys, because they're developing a new algorithm, and we'll get into the details about that. They're promising that this algorithm is better for everyday use in the blockchain, better than even EOS. You guys know I'm a huge fan of EOS, so we're going to talk about this. Again, the site is usechain.net. The airdrop actually starts today, so we'll talk about the airdrop, and I'll leave details about the airdrop in the description of this video. But I have here Henry Sao. How are you today, Henry?
Hi.
Glad to have you
Good.
on today.
Great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so what we're going to talk about is this new project that you're working on. But before we do that, let's get a little bit of background about yourself, how you got into cryptos, your education. You have a very deep education background. So I'll hand that off to you.
Okay. Yeah, I came to the United States in 1985 to study biology. I was working on cancer research. Later on, my interest shifted into finance. So I got another PhD at UCLA, and then went on to teach at UC Berkeley, Carnegie Mellon University, UC San Diego, UNC Chapel Hill, and Ohio State. Then I went back to China in 2004 to start a new finance department at Cheung Kong Graduate School of Business. And I launched the first finance MBA program in China. The revenue of our program is now about 180 million RMB. So that's like $30 million every year. I get to know about Bitcoin in 2011 when my students in the program asked me, what do I think of Bitcoin? So I have to do some research. And after I read Daiwei's paper, when I read Satoshi Nakamoto's paper, I was convinced. I think it's a great invention, and I think it's going to help lots of people, especially people who doesn't have cannot afford for cheap financial services. And
Right.
in
So
2016, yes.
yeah, so with your background in finance, I'm really into the whole finance, economic theories, and all of that. Do you see Bitcoin and more so probably cryptocurrencies, as you stated, but being that bridge between the unbanked individuals around the world? How do you see that playing out in the next couple of years here? With a lot of these fiat currencies, they're just devaluing hugely, right?
Yeah.
So how does cryptocurrencies help bridge the gap and help us move into the new paradigm of monetary systems?
Yeah, I think the blockchain really is make the playing field much more fair. So in the past, you have people on Wall Street. They are an oligopoly on financial services. Many of the poor people they cannot afford any decent financial services.
Mm-hmm.
But with this blockchain, we can have commercial banking, investment banking, asset management, and it will be affordable to small guys. But
Right.
before we reach that stage, we first have to make sure the technology is good enough. So right now, with the idea is great, so that it's decentralized and the people have the power, but the speed of transactions is too slow. For example, Bitcoin, you can only do 7 transactions per second, and it burns lots of energy. The energy consumes in mining the Bitcoins is almost the same as
Yeah.
the energy consumed by Denmark. So that's too expensive. What
Right.
we need is we need to increase the transaction speed, reduce the energy consumption, and also make a scalable. So right now, Bitcoin handles only about 10 millions of accounts, while WeChat, a centralized social network service, handles about 1 billion. So
Yeah.
we need this new technology to be able to improve the performance. In addition, for financial services, you need to have KYC and anti-money laundering because governments are afraid that people may use these services to do criminal activities.
Right.
So essentially, we need to have like a real identity map to the blockchain for it to be really, conduct financial services.
So that's excellent because that kind of segues us into your new project, UseChain, and this is why I have been in the past very excited about projects like EOS, where I consider an EOS a blockchain 3.0 type of platform. I consider UseChain a blockchain 3.0 type of platform because we can't, as you've stated, grow and sustain a global payment network with Bitcoin. It just won't happen.
Too
And
slow.
it's too slow, right? And even Litecoin, I don't know. I'm still not convinced that will be enough to handle a global payment system. So, kind of give us the background on UseChain and your unique algorithm. I like this concept. So let's talk
Yeah.
about
So the
UseChain.
key idea here is we must have one-to-one mapping of a real person to an account on the blockchain. So with that mapping, we can make sure that each account will be able to do about same amount of money as another account. And that's the key insight of our project. It's basically with identity, we're able to use this new method to kind of have a randomization kind of empower the mining. So how it works? Basically, after we do this mapping have two parts. One is you have to have verify all the kind of credentials. Then this party will kind of create an account, but then you have a second party is going to convert that account into another kind of secret number. So you need both parties secret key to know the connections between the account observed in the public to the actual person. But the government can come in and collect that information and know who is behind the account. So basically, the account is transparent to the government, but if they want to investigate, but it's anonymous to the public. So this way we can have both privacy, but also we can stop illegal activities. In addition, with this one-to-one mapping, then we can use a randomization method to assign different probability for people to mine the next block. So compare with EOS, what we have is EOS. Is a very centralized system. You have 21 supernodes. They are going to do all the verifications.
Right.
Here, everyone is equal. Everyone have the same chance to verify the transactions. So our case is truly decentralized. But each time you only have one or like 1 to 10% will be doing this verification. So the energy consumption will be much lower. The speed will be in the same league as EOS, but our case is much more robust, much more secure because nobody knows who will be the second miner. It's like God knows, right? It's a randomization procedure.
Right.
So in the case of EOS, you have hackers can attack these supernodes, and then they can slow down the system. The committee members in EOS, the supernodes, they can corrupt, and they become irresponsible, just like people on Wall Street. But in our case, the people control the whole system. It's the randomization pick who is going to mine the next block. So we are able to achieve both the decentralization and the speed and low energy consumption. Okay. But one key difference is we require every person have only one identity, because if you have multiple identities, then you can create lots of accounts, and each account will have the same kind of probability of mining. So suppose I create 1 billion accounts, then my chance of winning the next block will be 1 billion times higher than the other person. So that's why we must make sure each person have only one account that can mine the blocks.
That makes sense. Now I get where you're going with that. That makes perfectly good sense. So with the mining though, Henry, is your algorithm, the random proof of work, is that algorithm ASIC resistant, or how is that played out?
Yeah, so one key result is our algorithm is consumption is the computation power neutral. So suppose someone like Wu Jihan in China, he has about 40% of the mining power in Bitcoin. But
Right.
in our case, because we know his account, right? If he mine a lot, then next time he will be kind of not allowed to mine until
Ah,
people catches up. So
nice.
everybody who buy these mining machines is not going to improve their chance of mining, because if you mine more, then next time the small guys will be more likely to be mine the next block. So essentially, everybody will be equalized. So this way,
Wow.
we have a true centralization because it's identity specific. We know who you are. You cannot hide in the kind of somewhere that just cannot keep on mining, because every account is has an identity. Yeah.
Nice, nice.
So
That
that's the key.
makes good. Yeah, that's wonderful, man. I really like that
Yeah.
concept. And I'll
So I
have
want to make
to.
sure it's not centralized. Right now, even though Bitcoin, the philosophy is centralized, in practice, you have people like Wu Jihan. He controls like almost 40% of mining power, and he is a very centralized figure in
Yeah,
this.
and so I tell my audience that all the time. We there's a website. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. It's called arewedecentralizedyet.com, and it
Hmm.
shows all the top cryptocurrencies. And you're right. Bitcoin is top three people or entities, pools, or you want to call them pools or miners. They control just about 50% of the hashing power for the network. And
Yeah.
that's the case for Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum. We know Ripple is controlled by one person, one entity, but
Yeah.
that's a major concern for me for sure.
That's right. So basically, like our algorithm is based on three kind of key innovations. First is identity. The identity is transparent to the government, but anonymous to the public. That's our first key contribution. The second is the randomized proof of work. This way, we have efficient, fast, and the low energy consumption algorithm, but still decentralized. It's like again, no hackers can attack because nobody knows who the next innovation is. We have this design of the hierarchical kind of chain structure. You have a main chain, you have a sub chain, you have then kind of grandchildren chain, and they keep on going. So we have a hierarchical structure because remember I came to the United States. First, I studied biology. So in our human brain, we have a hierarchical structure.
Right.
So this way, we can make the system very scalable. So because in a small area, if you are doing like I'm in finance, I don't have to tell everything what I have done to people in biology or in physics. So in this sub chain, everybody knows what I'm doing. That's enough. So we have
Hmm.
this kind of hierarchical structure from root chain to sub chain to kind of grandchildren chain and keep
Hmm.
on going. So this way, we're also able to solve the scale system. So like we can handle not just hundreds of millions, we can handle like billions or kind of tens of billions of accounts. And that way, we can really reach the small guys, because if like you're going to buy a coffee, the transaction fee is going to cost you like $8. It's no use, right?
No use.
So use with this like high performance identity, low energy consumption, and scalability. Then what I can do, I can create a mirror identity world that every transactions you do on Wall Street can be done in this blockchain, and there's no intermediary. Though Wall Street tycoons is to rip you off,
Hmm.
because this world belongs to everyone. Everyone is the same here. There's no intermediaries. So
So
what I want
doc,
to do is I want to create this blockchain, and then I will leave it to the people to use.
so
So
Professor,
I'm not going to try to like make money
right.
to like I will create this just like Satoshi. Then he create Bitcoin, and now nobody know where he is, but the Bitcoin is running very well. So
Hmm.
basically, the blockchain, the use chain will exist regardless of how our company is doing. It's an independent entity from our operations.
Gotcha. So, Professor, is this algorithm that you guys actually created this idea, this random proof of work?
This randomization is there in computer science. So
Yeah.
in the past, what people have done is they try to do this randomization with anonymous accounts. There's a professor at MIT called Silvio Micheli, and he has an algorithm called Algorand, but it's on anonymous accounts, and it's very difficult. And he won a Turing Award before, but it's very slow, and they have lots of voting there. But with identity accounts, we kind of create our own algorithm, and it turns out we have this additional dimension of identity really reduce the kind of problems associated with randomization. Because in the past, when you create random number, you still have to kind of coordinate with each other who you will be mining and how you do restrict the number of accounts in there. But here, what we have is every person has only one account. So that you cannot cheat by creating like millions of accounts, and we solve that problem. So in the past, when people try to use this randomization technique, what happens is you find people is just going to create massive accounts, and then they can increase their chance of mining the next block, and it doesn't work very well with that.
That makes excellent sense. Has this algorithm been peer reviewed? Is it proven? Is it tested? How?
Yeah, we are applying the patent, and we are putting the algorithm on the GitHub, and get people like reviewed, and we're planning to write a paper on this as well. Right now, it's still like cutting edge technology. The one on the anonymous accounts has been reviewed. But that's not our invention. Our case is we apply this to identity accounts, and that's something new. Of course, the basic idea, the randomization itself, and the use of the verifiable random function is also in the previous approach that has been published. But our case is still like it's like a working paper, and we have already tested ourselves. But we need that to be tested by the community, and we are also running the in our tests. We're doing very well. We can do the transactions about like 3,000 transactions per second.
Wow.
And of course, now it's on the lab condition. In the future, we also have to have nodes in China, nodes in kind of in Europe, and nodes in the United States. And we want to make sure or like test whether we can still keep the same speed, the same performance. Sometimes it works very well in the lab, but when you go to different continents, it slow down.
Right. So, but I'm assuming with the advent of 5G, that will help as well, as far as latency issues. If that is an issue, right, with network latency, once you kind of expand it into different countries and stuff.
That's right.
So that's great, man. That's awesome. So what about just to finish up with this whole algorithm and the miners and stuff? What is the incentive for the miners? How does that look? What type of payouts do they receive?
Yeah, we plan to get like 3% of the total network. So right now our blockchain is valued at about $100 million. So the miners, like total on average, their fee will be worth about $3 million.
Okay.
But this is like just the initial kind of fee. If our project is successful, that will reach the level of like Ethereum, then the blockchain will be worth not just $100 million. Maybe it's going to worth like $10 billion. Then the miners, their fee, will 3% of 10 billion will be 300 million. So there will be lots of competition to become a successful miner in this case. So I think people will be very interested in this blockchain. The key is when we with identity, with high performance, with high scale, then we can really apply this technology to many financial services. For example, the decentralized exchange now is very slow. Nobody wants to use it. There's lots of problems with the centralized exchanges, especially in the cryptocurrency area. And with our technology, we can have a really user-friendly decentralized exchange. And you mentioned the payments with Bitcoins is not functioning because it's too slow, too expensive. But with our new technology, then we can kind of, nobody want to use credit cards. Nobody will be using like PayPal or WeChat Pay. they will using our technology. And then with this like a new technology, we have identity. With identity, it means like everyone, they can issue their own tokens. So now currency is not just issued by the sovereign countries. Each of us can issue our own currency. For example, Donald Trump, he comes to our blockchain, he can issue a Trump coin.
Right.
President Xi, he can produce a Xi coin.
So,
and then basically they can use that as their kind of credit. If they are trustworthy, then people are willing to use their kind of identity coins and to trade. And this can be also be used like we have baseball cards and people, like Michael Jordan has like a memorial for his achievements, and then you can like send your coin, your tokens, your personal tokens to your friends, or it can be a kind of a collectible and so on. So I think there'll be lots of applications, but first I want to make sure this technology is fast, it's low, it's not going to consume lots of energy, it's environment friendly, and it's scalable, and then it's kind of within the regulation of the government, and want to make sure it's like everything we do is legal, is regulated by the government.
Oh man, that's awesome. I'm really starting to really see the vision of UseChain, and it really will eliminate, because like as you've stated, even with Ethereum doesn't have that identity aspect. So you have companies like Civic that's trying to layer on top of Ethereum.
Yeah, that's very different. Let me mention that Civic is just they just push this identity onto a anonymous accounts.
Right.
In my case, is our whole case is the identity is merged within this algorithm, within the sharding, within the way of the how the subchain dimension are structured. We are like reinventing the wheels.
And that's what I mean. Like you're really cutting down the fat in the whole ecosystem, and that's great, man.
Yeah,
I think,
and also want to many countries like in Africa, in Asia, there's like poor people, they cannot have access to financial services.
Right.
In some countries, they're exploited by the military laws, and then they don't have a functioning monetary system. But if they use like a dollar or they use like Bitcoin, it's too expensive. Yeah. And I want to create something that's much cheaper that everybody can use, and that this monetary system, this does not belong to the kind of central agency, it belongs to the people themselves. So it's a bottom-up approach.
Yeah, so we spoke about crypto payments, how the UseChain would be great for that. You briefly talked about financial services as well. And what about, and I saw in your white paper, you talked about use cases for Internet of Things, and can you speak on that? And insurance as well. Insurance was another.
So I
one.
think I'm a finance professor. I want to focus more on applications in finance. So with the financial services like insurance, like the middleman collects lots of money. You have lots of sales agents. Then they go out and try to get people onto insurance company. But with this, what we have is we have a system without financial intermediary. So it's going to cut the cost. And the insurance is kind of pioneered by this blockchain, and everything you do is transparent. If you try to cheat, then you lose your credibility. So this gives you a deterrence, a strong deterrence effect that people will be more honest in this case. So this way, basically, we have an insurance without the intermediary to kind of make lots of money and then make people worse off. Of course, there's still verifications that make sure that if there's an accident, it's real, it's not like staged and so on. That's still there, but there's the financial profits in this whole case will be shared by everyone in here. And then you think about like loans that the banks collect lots of money from individuals. If we do person-to-person loans, sometimes the platform like Lending Club, they still collect some fees. But in our case, essentially, it's real peer-to-peer. All the trust is built through this algorithm, and then you can have much lower interest when you do loans. Asset management is like that too, and you can also create in the sharing economy. For example, in Airbnb, in like
Yeah,
Uber,
I
then
saw
the
that.
Uber and
Yeah, I
Airbnb,
saw
they
that example
collect
in your
a
white paper.
huge cut. But here what happens? The Uber, like in the decentralized Uber, belongs to the drivers,
Hmm.
belongs to the passengers. There's no middleman kind of try to make money from the work of the drivers. So that's
Right.
the key. But one for this to be kind of implementable, you cannot like wait an hour to get a car, right? It's like
Right.
too slow, right? You
Yeah.
have to, like, in seconds you get a car in to come. So in the case of Bitcoin, if they have to verify until like 1 hour, the business is not going to work.
Right, and I can see with the case of like an Uber, right, using a use chain type of blockchain, I can see that it completely eliminates the need for any identity verification because that's already built inside of
That's
the
right.
wallets.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
when I'm
It's a
picking up
simple.
when I'm being picked up, I'm sending a payment to that individual. Well, we all know who that individual is just
That's
based on
right.
the. Yeah,
Yeah, and they
that's
pay
neat.
directly to his account. There's no
Right.
like banks involved, and there's no like charges by like Uber company because in this kind of decentralized Uber belongs to drivers. Every driver has a share in this kind of decentralized Uber. So I think this is like a much better system.
Excellent, excellent. So, before we move on to your actual ICO slash token sale and airdrop, I do want to talk about your team. Your team, you have a group of, I think, 7 individuals of the core team, correct?
Yes.
And
Yeah, let me introduce. I'm a finance professor, and I'm like the co-founder is Bahong Sang. She's the used to be a chair professor at the Carnegie Mellon University, and also she's the associate dean at the Chang Kang Graduate School of Business. So she's responsible for our kind of grand marketing plans, like the strategies.
hmm.
Uh, Professor Zhang is the chief scientist. He is a professor at computer science department at Shenzhen University and was a visiting professor at Stanford. Um, and so he is responsible for all the kind of the most recent cryptographic kind of breakthroughs, and he designs the RPOW and the subchain structure and also identity structure. We also have people in kind of traditional Wall Street people who worked for Citibank, Morgan Stanley, and they are going to try to implement the financial services. We have people in data structure, in the operations, and in the kind of sales group. So we have these people have been has lots of experience in the internet area, and they have gone through this like internet revolution. It's done very well, and we have advisors also, like Lucas Liu. He has ICO just completed in CyberMiles last year. It's
Mm.
now worth about $400 million, and Cao Yin is also working on his own ICO project. Professor Xiang Jingwei is a chair professor at the Columbia University, so he advises on our like economic approach on the token economics. Chen
Mm.
Ma is a senior entrepreneur and worked in this AR area, the augmented reality.
Okay.
Alan Yan started his company at China, and he sold that for $1 billion. And now he's working on 2 more projects, and he's like really happy to be involved in this project. Xu Zhu was invested in Binance, and he also
Oh, okay.
the senior guy in this area.
Nice, nice. So that sounds like a very strong team of core team and advisors as well. Let's talk about the ICO. So you've got an ICO. When does the ICO actually start?
Um, Actually, we are going to do mostly private placement.
Okay.
So even though it's an initial coin offering, we will only do just private negotiations and then go to the exchange directly. We plan to raise about 4,500 uh, bitcoins, but of course you can also pay using Ethereum or other major cryptocurrencies.
Mm-hmm.
We got about 400 now. We're still like trying to push for the 4100. We have a hard cap of 4500 and a soft cap of 1350. So essentially, I think we are still doing the marketing road shows for May and June, and we plan to be listed on the major exchanges by the end of June.
So with the private placement, that means that, this airdrop for individuals that won't be able to participate in that private placement will be even more of a nice thing to be able to participate in. So
Exactly.
you guys have an airdrop that again starts today, guys. And with that airdrop, this is how they're setting it up: 0 to 1,500 viewers. Each qualified viewer will get 100 USTs. And then the next tier is from 1,501 to 3,000 viewers. Each qualified viewer will get 200 USTs. And then anything above 3,000 viewers, they will get max 333 USTs for each qualified viewer. And that's an equal share of about 1 million USTs. And at the end of the live stream, you guys, the viewer numbers will decide the airdrop prize. So in order for you guys to participate in this airdrop today, make sure you guys get over to UseChain.net to get your code. Join the Telegram room as well, and also comment on the YouTube video, this video here. Make sure you guys comment with hashtag UseChain and your actual code. So make sure you guys do that.
So, basically we want to do something that's like, while it's called UseChain, it's not something fancy. We want to do a blockchain that's useful to the society, that people can benefit from this technology, not just kind of, create a new kind of currency, then people trade with each other.
Speculate, right? Yeah. I'm so tired of the speculation projects. Right. We need, and I actually talked about this in a video a few days ago, we need to start looking at cryptocurrencies as a means to actually innovate and improve society instead of
make people's life better.
Yeah.
That's what we want. We are like down to earth, and we will call UseChain. We didn't use like fancy names like Quark, Quantum, Stellar, or this kind of Greek names that make it really fancy. But we just want to make it useful.
Right.
So,
well, again, Professor Henry Cao, thank you for joining me today to really give our audience an insight to a new project that I think will have very long legs and will actually be useful. No pun intended.
Yeah, so, exactly. That's the purpose. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Absolutely. You guys are actually at well, the conference is over now, but you're at the New York Consensus, or was at the New York Consensus Conference 2018. How was that? How was that?
It's very good. It's I think we saw lots of projects, and in the finance area, something very interesting. Actually, it's still going on. It's like tomorrow. There's a third day. It's a little bit too expensive, So I think. It's like we don't want to be ripped off. So if I want to do this conference, I want to do a kind of a decentralized conference that I want to have the small guys to have a voice.
That's why I did. Yeah, I was a little concerned, and when I saw the price of Consensus tickets, it made me think of Wall Street all over again.
That's right.
It's blocking out the little people.
Yeah, if I do this conference, I want to do it decentralized, and everybody can come, everybody can contribute, because the blockchain doesn't belong to the rich guys, it belongs to the people. That's the kind of purpose of us doing that.
Oh, great. Yep, I agree totally. Again, Henry Cao, CEO and Professor, UseChain.net. Again, the airdrop starts today, guys, so make sure you look in the description of this video and participate. Get you some of those coins, because you won't be able to get it through public ICO. So that's a great one. Thank you again, Mr. Cao.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a joy.